Welcome to the Dean West Perspective Podcast. Today is going to be a little bit different than my normal one-on-one conversations. You all get the pleasure of listening to not two, but three fantastical voices on today's episode. And yes, mine is one of them. I do want to apologize ahead of time if anyone hasn't seen Good Will Hunting, because it may hinder your understanding for my two good friends here today. But on that note, I would like to welcome Anthony Gelati, like if you said gelato, and Christopher Neville. Anthony is an actor, director, and producer and owner of the Anthony Gelati studio, right? And Christopher is also acting studio, right? Acting studio. And Christopher is also an actor, producer, and owner of the Christopher Neville acting workshops, along with an instructor for the Actors Loft and a few other programs here and around the Boston area. So without any further ado, a big hearty welcome to my my friends here to the podcast.
Are you going to be talking like that all day?
Maybe.
Because I'll leave right now.
You come back. You'll come back in a little while. Go poop.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Mr. West.
Thanks for having us, Dean.
It took us a good 30 minutes before we started the podcast because we had to get some of our BS out of the way. Luckily, I think we're on about 20 years. Have we known each other about 20 years at this point?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I met Nev like 23 years ago, maybe, or something like that. 23, 20.
Because I moved out to LA in 98. Probably took a year or two at the studio where we all kind of got together. So it was probably like 2000-ish that we all kind of met
sounds
each other.
about right.
Yeah.
A few years later. Yeah. So I think we've probably all known each other at least between the 15 to 20 year gap. We all, as Chris mentioned, we all met at Aaron Spizer's acting studio back in the day, and all ended up finding our way into working as actors, and then found our place into coaching actors, which I think we all three did the same thing. We all started kind of coaching people at the studio, helping people with auditions, that kind of stuff. Found a little like, this is kind of fun. Oh, this is helping me understand what kind of bullshit I've got going on in my own work, which, makes you want to dive deeper, because then you're like, man. And then you get that little tickle when you're coaching somebody else and you're like, fuck, that's brilliant. Ooh, you did something brilliant. Like you pat yourself on your back.
It's almost like I'm a genius, right?
Why can't I do this in my auditions?
Yep.
So let's dive into Anthony. Anthony, I find that like me, you, and Chris, while obviously we trained in the same methods of Uta Hagen and that kind of stuff from Aaron, we all found our own craft, which I think everyone does, and I think I kind of want to hone into that for just actors in general. Like we all go to so many different classes, because I'm sure you guys dabbled at other places throughout as well.
Yeah.
And Aaron, I always said, was where I went to understand like filmmaking and actual doing a full feature film, like that kind of full on, let myself be immersive in this world. Right. And then there were other places like kind of like a Brian Reese, where I feel like that's where I kind of understood like tones, that kind of thing. I really got grasp of TV shows and understanding beats and time frames and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But as we kind of played in those different worlds, we all find this version of the craft that's ours, right? You don't do an Aaron Spicer technique or a Uta Hagen technique. It becomes Dean West technique or Anthony Gelati's technique. Yep. Give me the path.
Is okay. Similar type of path that I had the privilege, in my opinion, of learning my foundation properly, and I see this happen to a lot of my students when they come to me. They've been trained other places, or they did like high school theater or something like that, and they come with bad habits. So I didn't really, at the time, 20 something years ago, I took for granted that I was being trained in a solid manner, because I knew exactly what acting was, and I just assumed that was training. So I kind of adopted that into my studio, where it's like, all right, whether you're a beginning actor or you have past training and experience, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a good grasp on what acting is and what your job is as a storyteller. So I always wanted to start from there. So I always wanted to start from, you are a storyteller. And Dean, you just said something about like, taking it as a script, a feature film. And that's the way we were trained there. And to me, I think that's the best way to approach it, because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. A lot of acting studios, they give you like a scene, a cold read scene, and you work it out, and you work out different things, maybe emotions or the repetition of like a Meisner technique and stuff like that, which is fine. It's all good. But does that actually teach you how to do your job when you're actually going to book a TV show or a feature film or something like that? So that's where I always wanted to start from. And I could go on and on about just that, but that is always my foundation. You know what I mean? You have a job to do as an actor. You have to know what your job is as an actor and how to execute. You know, there's multiple scenes in a feature film, and so forth and so on. Storytelling, that is the key. That's the key.
I think it's interesting. There's a couple of things you mentioned. You know, we all learned with that foundation of, you know, Uta Hagen and
Stanislavski, Uta
Hagen, and creating believable behavior in imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, that at the end of the day, that's your job.
Yep.
You know, no matter how you get there. You know, I've had people who I train online all from all over the country, and some of them have trained with, you know, with the same concept of Uta Hagen. Someone else taught them, and they were kind of like, I don't know, and they had actually had a bad taste in their mouth about it. And I'm like, and then we went through it, and they're like, you know what? I'm seeing it completely different now. Like, I'm actually getting this now, and I don't know what it is. And they thank me over and over. Sometimes, like, just we all have the same information.
Yeah,
information's out there, but how are we, you know, translating it to our students? And we're not receptive to everyone. It's the communication of that knowledge.
That's literally the conversation Anthony and I had the other day. Was like,
exactly.
You know, we're all literally going through the same thing. Everyone starts with a script. Everyone takes that Bible, finds something they can find truthful within it, and then try to find their path through that. But the difference being, like we were saying, is like, if I want my studio to exist without me, it was hard for me to find someone that knew how to have the feel, right? I need to be able to feel this other human enough that I can find what words you need to hear. Because you may, you know, it's always funny watching when people would get up, because you're sitting in the class watching, and you're like, oh my God, this is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And then the coach gets up and goes, that was great work.
Yeah. Well,
right. But if that person heard otherwise, they wouldn't put their all next week. Yeah. But you had to know the person and how to approach that to find your way through the technique.
At 100%, I think you hit the nail on the head. And I do that all the time in it's individuality. Like you have to get to know each one of your students as an individual, because like you just said, some people need a pat on the back. Some people need a kick in the ass. And that might vary from week to week. But you have to know them as individuals, not just individual actors, but individual people, human beings. And is that a lot more work for us as acting coaches? Yeah, it's a lot more work. But if we're going to be the best acting coaches in the world and train actors correctly, in my opinion, then that's where you got to go. And if you're not willing to go there, my advice is, are you like you're not really a mentor? Like, you have to really see yourself as a mentor. These people are coming to you. Like Nev just said, people all over the country coming to you. Dean, I know that you know, your outreach isn't just like in your city. You know, it's all over the country. Now that we have Zoom and all this stuff, I have actors in Australia and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And you have to really get to know them, what they need, what their strengths and their weaknesses are. That's a skill in itself.
Yeah.
You know, the knowledge of being able to read a script and going over technique and stuff like that, to be honest, guys, you could read that in a book. Like, you could read that in the Uta Hagen book, boom, Respect for Acting, and boom. Now, does that mean you know everything about acting now? Of course not, but at least you have intellectually you understand. But if you don't put your heart and soul, and you don't find their heart and soul, to me, you're not really doing anything. You know what I mean? And I know you guys agree with me, because I know you both do that too.
And I think, you know, it's interesting to me, because with acting, I ended up finding this weird kind of spiritual connection as I kept going through with acting, because it was, you know, we're at the end of the day, yes, we're trying to get these people to a point that they can take their career, be on set without a coach, and be able to do their work without us. My job is not to make you dependent on me. My job is to make you substantial, that you can do your thing wherever you need to go and do it.
Yep.
And to me, after the technique, right, and even during the technique, I find that the really cool part of what we do as coaches is this self-reflection, right? This self-development work that you're really going through, because it's all self-exploration. Every character you take on, you got to go figure out, what is the bullshit stopping you from letting you believe that? Why can't that be truthful to you? Why do you have to go fake this character shit that you're doing, and you can't show up there? What's not okay that you went through that you can't bring that to it? 100. And that interesting, like, I don't even want to say the word, because people get caught up in it and they're like, yeah, you don't want to go to a coach. It's just going to be a therapist. We're not doing therapy, but you do self-therapy through the work. And if you're doing the work correctly, it becomes a little bit of therapy.
I think 100%. You're absolutely right. Like, when I first got into acting, did I think that this was, that it had anything to do with this and finding yourself or learning about what makes this character, or anyone for that matter, do what they do? No, I had no idea.
Especially as a Ninja Turtle for a father, Chris, by the way, for people, if you're not watching this visually right now, Anthony and I both, when we first met Chris at the studio, we're like, is this the guy that like lifts the whole fucking studio? Because he's just that jacked that his shoulders look like a ninja, like he just beat up Raphael in the alleyway. Anyway, go ahead, Chris.
I still have those shoulders, by the way.
You sexy beast. I know.
What was I talking about? What makes... It's a continuous learning experience. You know what I mean? We're constantly learning. Yeah. Like, I had no idea. I did more reading once I became an actor than I did in college or high school, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Like, we learn, whether spiritually or psychologically or whatever it is, we get in there, we get deep and dirty about why we do the things we do, why we don't do things.
Not just in acting. You're talking about in life. You're talking about yourself. Like, make sure that they know what you're saying right now, because we were trained in a very similar manner, where it's like, this is a 24/7 thing. So it's like, I'll be brushing my teeth, and all of a sudden that'll turn into an acting exercise. I'm like, what? How do I feel right now? What am I? What's my inner monologue when I'm doing this activity?
Like, remember this.
Remember this feeling. This is going to be a Stanislavski sense memory. This is a sense memory. What exactly is happening to my toe? What kind of emotions were unleashed?
Remember.
Well, but I'm telling you right now. I mean, you're right, Nev. That's a thing right there. And it is self-reflection. And if you're not ready to go there, then there's going to be a major hole in your craft. You know what I mean? Because what's going to end up happening is your craft is going to get better and better, but surface. And you'll get good at surface acting. And people will be like, wow, they're really, really good. But deep down inside, your audience will say that they're not moving me. I respect them. I see, I'm entertained. It's impressive what they do, but am I moved? Are they changing my life? Am I looking at a mirror when I look at them? Am I feeling like this is happening to me? And the answer is going to be no if the actor doesn't feel
right.
Yeah, it's that self-awareness that has to continue to grow along with your quality of performance.
Yeah.
It's funny, as you were saying that, I had this flashback of old Billy Crystal, Aaron Spicer, in class, and I had made it to we were in advanced class, I think, and I finished a scene. I don't remember who I was doing it with, and he sits back and goes, Dean, you're one of the best actors I have. And I'm just sitting there like,
what's coming next? Here we go.
Where's he going? Where's he going with this?
Okay.
Actor.
Thank you. He's like, no, seriously. You're the best actor I have. And then you hear it and you're like, wow. He's like, honestly, you got all the way to my advanced class and I just realized that you're still acting. He's like, that's pretty good. Yeah. And knowing Aaron, I'm like, that is kind of a compliment. Like, I'll take that. Because you don't know until you know, right? Like you can be years. I've got friends that have done theater for I don't know how long, and they still do the work, and I'm still just like,
right,
let go, man. Like what are you afraid of?
It's a fine line. Like you said, at some point you get discovered. You get exposed, right? Crap, they finally got me.
I've been bullshitting.
But it's like some people are just brilliant at mimicking behavior. You know what I mean? Instead of allowing themselves to, like, they know what it looks like on the outside and they do it. They're able to do that. But to actually allow themselves the freedom to go to that place and the vulnerability and to be able to let go, Dean, like you just said, instead of having that control. At this point, I'm going to do this. At this point, I'm going to move this and I'm going to raise my eye, whatever it is, you know, instead of just letting it go, right?
I think a lot of that comes from the audition, like we were talking earlier. You don't come from a foundation of learning this craft. You come from an audition version where you are preparing to show off a scene instead of finding yourself in this human that you can let go of.
And there's a difference right there. And even at an actual audition, actors forget that you still have to do that. You still have to create real life in that situation. But getting back to the mimicry, what I tell my students all the time is, this is how impressive mimicry is to me. A fucking bird could do it. A fucking parrot could mimic what you're saying and all that stuff. And a dog could mimic your whatever, like, or a baby could actually see what you're doing. That's how fucking impressive that shit is. And that's not your job. And it's funny too, because they learn that. And that's a sad thing about like when actors come to you, I'm like, they actually learn this. They learn that memorize your lines and then recite them in a really interesting way. Or just like, or whatever, and it's disguised by something deep. Like they'll say like, yeah, my character walks like this. My character talks like this. Like Neville just said, my eyebrow, what I can't do the one eyebrow way. I don't know. And that's what they bring to the table, but they're not realizing that is all.
It's intellectualized too. It's like, it's just
anyone
like, right?
could do that.
And we're trying to get past that. And I think that I find like, even coaching like the Uta Hagen style and stuff, like the moment before and your objective and stuff like that, I find a lot of actors today have such a resistance to just knowing what they want in a scene. I'm like, why? They're like, I just want to let it go. I'm like, well, yeah, but we all, whether you let it go or not, like as human beings, we always have some kind of need in any single moment. So why are you not even, examining that? Now, of course, let it go once you're in the moment.
And I think that's what lets you let go.
Yeah.
You know, that's what lets you let go. When you have the idea of that deeper what you're after to begin with, then you don't have to be trying to make something happen all the time. Just let it, because now you know what you want.
You know, can I set your mind free a little bit?
I wish you would.
You're absolutely right. And it's very, very frustrating. It's very frustrating as a coach and a teacher to have a student in front of you saying, like, why can't you? And you're saying to yourself, just let go. Why? But you know what? I made peace with this when I realized that actor came to me. That actor knows that they're trying to get to another level. So it's not like it's somebody we're watching on TV and we're saying, like, you know what I mean?
Keep getting hired.
Exactly. Like, so I gained, when I look at it through that perspective, I gained a lot of respect for my actors because, like, they had some kind of foresight and they had some the courage to say, like, all right, I need to get better. I need to grow. I just don't know how to do it. So when they come to me and they do that, instead of me getting aggravated, like I used to get all the time when I first started doing this, I get like a sense of pride. It's like, all right, this person is saying, I want you to be my coach. I want you to mentor me. I want you to help me get to the next level. And then it's like, all right, I just got to show. They don't know yet. I got to show them. They don't know how to let go. Right. They don't know how to tap into themselves. They don't know. But that's why they're here. But at least they came to you, Nev. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they looked you right in the eyes and said, Nev, I want you to.
And this is I did a post on this too, but like they were taking classes in their local, area and stuff like that too. And they were taking these classes in the beginning. They're like, I already did this, blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden they come in and they're like, man, I need to thank you. Like everyone in my class is coming up and saying, what are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing? Because you've changed. Like something happened, right? And it's like, oh wow. So even if they were resistant and they didn't want to, be so intellectual and all that kind of stuff, they're going out and now they're utilizing what they've learned, and there's a switch that went off, and they're like, oh my God, right? And people are noticing all of a sudden. And isn't that really what we need? The business side, we need people to notice and go, oh my God, what's happening here? We need to hire this person. right? I don't know what it was, but something happened, you know?
Speaking of Aaron, I remember Aaron telling the story 23 years ago, whatever, about his mentor, Kenneth McMullen. And he said that when he was a young actor, he had a very similar moment where it's like, wow, I think he went to go see Kenneth in something, or he went to an acting class. I forget the exact details. And he said, it's like, wow, these actors are doing something different than what I've learned, than what I've been taught. It's something different is going on. And I want to get to that level. And the reason why I bring that up is because, believe it or not, that's our lineage. Like the three of us, that is our lineage. That's the way it goes. And say whatever you will, I'm glad that it is, because we're here now, like 20 something years later, and I think we're here because we learned the right way. And my students will, and your students, 20 years from now will say the same thing. I learned the right way.
And I think that's the important thing too. Like, we have a strong foundation. I think, Dean, you mentioned this earlier too. Like, you need to have that foundation to build on. Otherwise it just crumbles. Right. So we had those tools. We had that foundation to build on. And then where you go from there is up to you. You know what I mean?
It's up to you. Well, you remember, not everybody from our class back in the day is still in the business or working or teaching or doing that. Not all of them. This is not for everybody.
Not nature of the beast.
Exactly. And it just is what it is. I think the difference between someone that's still around, especially doing what we're doing, teaching and mentoring, is the love of the game, the love of the craft, and this is not something that you should be doing if you don't love it. You want to get into acting, you shouldn't do it for the praise and the fame and the money and all that stuff. If you're doing it for those reasons, man, wow, are you going to have a sad life? Even if you do have money, if you're not doing it for the love and you don't really love it, there's too much rejection, there's too much no, there's too much heartache for you to sustain this. You're going to lose your mind. It's really not healthy.
That always sticks me too. One of the things that Aaron said back in the day was the doesn't matter, whatever, follow your passion. If it changes, you want to be a janitor, go be the best fucking janitor you can ever be. And I think that, because again, knowing that maybe 20% of the actors we coach are going to eventually find their way out of this industry. They're not going to stick with it. They're not going to stay going.
Or more.
Right, at least. But can I make sure that when you leave, some of the stuff that you learned in here affects your daily life, that you can use all the time, that betters character, that helps you understand more? I mean, for me, acting is constantly raising the bar for your compassion so that you are able to take the worst human being in the world and find a place that you can look from their perspective and think you're doing what you're doing for the right reason.
Empathy. It's all about empathy. The best thing that you could do as an actor is to learn how to find empathy in with your character. And ironically, that's the best thing you could do as a human being is find empathy, particularly in your enemies or the people that you're at odds with, the people that are different from you, whatever it is, gender, sexual orientation, race, whatever. If you could find empathy, you're just a better human being. The irony is those are the same tools that will make you a great actor as well. They go hand in hand. But that word right there is the key. Once I started teaching empathy, taking judgment out of the equation, taking your own ego and your eyes and your narcissism out of the equation and really understanding the human being, that's when you become great as an actor. And ironically, that's when you become great as a human being.
We're not acting coaches. We're not acting mentors. We're life mentors. Like acting, like movies, TV.
Wouldn't it be better if we got paid to be like, because I don't get
we'll
paid
talk about that later. You're not charging enough, but seriously, like, even whether I'm teaching kids theater or I'm teaching for adults for acting in movies and TV, it's a reflection. Theater, movies, TV have always been a reflection of what's going on in the world, whether in the past, the present, what could be in the future, and it's life lessons that we're learning. It's not just, even if you don't want to be an actor, right? There's lessons to be learned just by Like the character breakdown, right? Like, why does this person do what they do? Oh my God, really? That's right. Right? And how can I treat that person? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I want to piggyback off that because you said it transcends acting. And I want to piggyback off that because in my opinion, that's the word. That's a dangerous word. Acting is a dangerous word.
Huge.
And when they buy into I'm acting now, their definition is I'm pretending. This is not real. Or what? And that's the problem.
It ruins it when you start.
Exactly. The second you're saying, okay, and you could tell too, because you'll have a conversation with an actor that's on stage, right? I'm sure this happens to you guys every day. And they're just shooting the shit and they're being human. The second I say action, or the second I say, you have the floor, they don't know how to talk anymore. They don't know how to walk anymore. It's like, what are you doing? And I know what the problem is. It's the word acting. Mm-hmm. They just can't handle that word. They've learned that word meant something different than living in the moment. They learned that. And it's our job to make sure that we get rid of that bad habit right there. Like, you know what I mean? Stop using the word acting to describe
and I love that
your craft. It's
and being in the moment. I feel like as soon as I say action, it's like serious. I'm an actor. I need to, they forget to. And if something happens in the moment that's funny, they won't allow themselves to laugh. Like, that shit was funny. Like, just because you're acting doesn't mean that shit isn't funny. Like, just laugh at it. Like, don't deny that. You know what I mean?
One of the first things I'll do for just, new students that start or whatever, I go, take it. That's your seat, man. Go get up there. What did we do? Nothing. Go sit there.
Yeah.
Just let them sit.
Live.
And be like, all right.
Live.
And
what do you want me to do? Right.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to do something? Nope, not a thing. Just relax. Just see if you could take a breath. How's that feel? Literally just be. I just want you to be, because the more comfort you get of having that amount of, because most people, unless you've done stage, you've never had that amount of attention and focus and energy at one point. Having that much energy coming at you just on a metaphysical point.
Yeah.
Already, right?
It's foreign to you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Kids start doing and doing more because the attention. It's love, but it's attention. And if you think about it in that point, what is the one thing that we all have throughout life? Yes, present moment. The present moment is shown by where does your attention go? Do you spend it in a good way? Or is that not bringing dividends? Because if your attention is just lost, death scrolling or whatever it is, there's no attention. And I think you guys have probably saw the shift, but the era from people that didn't have cell phones to that are nonstop cell phones, it's a little more work I've got to get to be able to bring your attention to a certain level.
1000%. Amen. It has changed. It has changed. But again, it's like what we're talking about. Did the craft change? The craft didn't change. Humanity changed. Like society changed. And you're absolutely right. But it's more difficult, but it's not impossible, because this is the way I look at it. Because I had to make peace with this, Dean. You could say, you're not paying attention because you're on your phone, right? Which seems like it's true, but is it true? Because they are paying attention to something, but you hit the nail on the head. What is the most important thing to you? If you make this the most important thing, then you're not paying attention to life. But they do know how to pay attention. So what we need to do as mentors is say, like, this, why is this so important? You examine yourself. What is so important? Is it the histrionic behavior where you need all the attention, you need all the praise? Don't forget the words they use, like, love, followers, friends. It's all an ego stroke. They need the same things that anyone has ever needed. They're just shifting it into something which could be used, because if you look at it, if you think of it, right, they're used to looking at something and having all their attention. If we make the camera that same thing in the world, they're already used to doing that. It's just a different techniques that we have to use with this new generation. Same type of thing. It's the same principles.
Well, I like, we were talking about earlier, I did an episode, I do like little mini solo eps in between the larger ones, like this with you sons of bitches. And on the previous one, I did one called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. And the focus was what we were talking about a second ago, where when you found out in the world this opposite side of yourself that really just starts hitting all of the buttons, right? You get pissed off about the way this person chews. You're mad about whatever they're wearing. Those mirrors that we can use in our acting of going, let me find characters that really piss me off, that I just don't understand, that keep me aggravated. That mirror is what we call in hermetics is that mirror reflection. You're getting to see yourself in the world, and whatever's stimulating that trigger is probably where you need the work, because that's where that wall is hitting, right? That's where we keep finding this thing that I can't find character. I have to act character because I can't get through this thing yet.
Right. Very nice. I like that. I like that a lot. Wow.
Right, we're done.
Moment of silence. Because I don't want to, because if you let me, I'll dominate a conversation. I was trying to have Neville. I was like, Neville, here's your cue, brother, man. Come on.
Here's the thing. Talking about attention.
I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be nice.
Track of what was going on. I'm like,
my God.
Look at my lighting right now. When I first started, my lighting was
Jesus.
No. Now the sun shifted through my window, and now I got this hot spot on my face.
Wow. All right. Well,
then he is that genre. He's the one we were just having a conversation about.
Well, then let me piggyback West off what you're saying. 1,000%. And that's what I was saying earlier about empathy, because it's so difficult not to bring judgment in a character, especially if your character is written as the antagonist in the story. You know what I mean? But that's the key right there. A lot of actors, they come, and this must happen to you guys. They're like, I like playing the bad guy. I like playing the bad guy. It's more fun to play the bad guy. And I don't disagree with that. But then I say to them, all right, let's just take this deeper. Why? Why do you like playing the bad guy? Why? Is it that you feel like when you do things in your life, you feel guilty about it and you want to unburden yourself, but the bad guy in the story doesn't feel that, so you could relate to that? It's almost like a fantasy that they are like living out. And that's part of reflecting. It's like, okay, instead of just saying, I like this, or I like drama better than comedy. Why? What is it? What is it that is drawing you to a certain character or a certain genre? Because that's the self-reflection that is going to be the key. That will unleash a lot of behavior and humanity, you know? And goodbye, Neville.
We'll see you when you get back.
But are we recording right now? Because
we're still rolling.
While we're waiting for Neville to come back, we all speak the same. I'm really glad that we got the three of us, because it would have, if it was just two, whatever, it would have worked too. But
yeah,
you're absolutely right. And when you and I talked about this last week, you're the one to say, I think we should have all three of us, because we have the same foundation, and we were trained the same way, but we see things similarly, but not exact. And that's a really cool thing, Dean. At first I was like, yeah, okay. But do we? But now that we're talking, I see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because what you just described as the mirror and the reflection, I would just describe that same thing as something else, but it's still the same thing. And I'm sure Neville does the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's really cool, because it just shows that when you're looking for a studio, a teacher, a mentor, you have to find somebody that you could relate to, because if you don't, it's just not going to work, you know?
All right. I think you're good now, Chris. If it shows me otherwise, I'll let you know. And I think we were just talking about why we enjoyed having all three of us doing this. Because one, you guys, there's usually two types of actors. There's a person that starts that has this natural instinct that can play, that lets themselves feel shit, and then there's the other person that's like, tell me how to do it and I'll do exactly how you want.
Yeah.
And it's usually a little bit harder of a journey when you go that route, because you get stuck on there's a right and wrong versus that kind of works. This works. Let me try this. This will be cool. And I think, and we were talking about this earlier, is like, I feel like Anthony and I came from like fuck it, let's try this. And I feel like, Chris, you were more of like let me get there's a method to this specifically. Let me get that first. And then Anthony and I were just kind of fucking off all the way through it. And I feel like we probably coach from that mainframe where it's like you probably stick with there's exact version that everyone kind of stays with. And then on their next levels, when you kind of start playing, where mine, like even I teach character breakdown in a different way now. So character breakdown, I'll give you a paper. It's all the same stuff we all three came from, the same full-on character breakdown, A to Z. But at the top of the page, it says character of me. And instead of you taking script and building out character, I want you to take it home and build out you as if you were playing yourself. And what you said a second ago, Anthony, was that why question to go a little deeper. Every time you answer a question, ask yourself why. And try, there's a business method we call 7 layers deep, where you keep asking yourself 7 layers. Why this?
I call that the why shovel. The why shovel. You're digging. Why? That's what I call it in class.
And that's one of the routes I'll go with that, because now not only do you understand what character breakdown is, because now you literally understand that everyone's character. We can break down everyone in the same way because we're all human. We all come from the same similar background of what affects us, how we get affected. It's just human behavior. But now I also have a map that says, hey, you've got a map to help you understand who you became and how. Now, for your next step, imagine you're 5 to 10 years down the road. Imagine everything went exactly how you wanted. You became the actor you wanted to be, the coach, the whatever it is that you decided, the director. And now I want you to go backwards and rebuild that character breakdown for that human, the one that is the mental successful for you. Because now if you understand that kind of like this metaphysical world where we talked about the secret and all those things, which funny enough, I don't know if you guys knew, but Aaron had Asking It Is Given, like an Abraham Hicks book on our like reading list from back in day. And I'm like, this bastard was keeping a secret. He never told us that was there. I'm years down the road finding that stuff on my own and then going back and I'm like, of course he had it in there somewhere. Of course he did. But so when you start getting to play in, cool, let me practice my craft via living in the moment-to-moment life of my future successful me, you are just automatically leveling up your vibration. You're automatically leveling up this conscious awareness of like, oh, this is how I feel when.
I think that's interesting. When you're saying create that character 5-10 years from now. Essentially, you're asking yourself, what would have to happen to me in order to get to that place? Well, this would happen, and then that would happen, and this. So you're building these little steps along the way. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Yeah, you've got your roadmap.
Right. So again, it goes. These lessons can be applied to act and life, right? Like, what are we talking about, right? It's like
that's the whole thing.
How to be a successful human being, a successful businessman, a successful actor, whatever it is. There is a recipe, Now, is it different? It could be different for some people, but again, there's things that definitely are there that you can kind of follow. Right. Now, we might go, here and there, but there's steps, there's things there, So I love it. I love that. That's actually
I think
great.
That's what I think that understanding that through line for life is what got me more passionate with staying in coaching than even just the acting. Like, don't get me wrong. Love acting, love being on set, love doing this craft.
Yeah.
But when I found that extra little layer of like, and I've worded this a few times in the podcast, but I'll throw it to you guys so you can hear it. Closest thing you could do to play God. Someone gives you a script. You get to understand and create this world all on your own. You get to fill in the dots with every human being in this world. You get to fill yourself within the world of this one human. All of these humans have no clue that you are controlling this thing from the outside. And when you are in it, you have no clue that you had control to begin with.
Yep.
How much closer to playing God can you be? You are creating worlds.
You can, yeah. And I say that all the time. I agree with everything you just said, particularly the playing God thing, because I think every human being, and it comes down to this. You take the word God out of the equation, because the second you hear the word God, people are going to judge.
Yep.
But what we're really doing is controlling a story that okay, we're all characters in real life, and we're all living in a story. The only difference is we can't control that. But we all fantasize about controlling it, and this is the only profession that you actually get a chance to control yourself, how you feel about things, your actions, and you can manipulate your actions and all that stuff. Every human being in the world fantasizes about that. It's just a natural thing. Storytelling, particularly acting, is the only real profession that you could actually live that and do that. Again, once
unless you use it, unless you use this to then use the same way, map your daily. Think about, we talk moment befores, or we talk moment befores before we go into our scene work, and we've prepped our, where was I, where am I, right? And then remove this. Imagine tomorrow you've got a podcast that you've got to do, and before you go to bed, you prepped your moment before. Where was I? I had a beautiful night's sleep. Mm-hmm. It's actually my wife. Sorry, I'm just going to throw that in there. Where are you now? I'm waking up next to my little crazy kid and my beautiful wife on the other side. I've got this bright sun just popping in to fill me with the old vitamin D. And what do I want? I want to go enjoy this amazing conversation I'm about to have with my two good friends that I haven't seen in forever. I just set my day instead of going, oh God, my back hurts. I'm sleeping all wonky. Kids' foots in my face, right? Which is the normal day that I just stepped in dog shit. Great. Now I gotta hurry up and try to get on this podcast.
Yeah.
That same mental setup. So while we don't have control of our everyday moment to moment, right? This edge of creation literally is your contrel.
How we see it.
If you reflect that and go, my perspective on it is, again, like you always say, Joe Dispenza has a saying that's our personality, our personal reality is our personality. Yeah. So if your personal reality is, oh, this world's shit and, we're all just waiting to die, well, you're probably pretty miserable.
Yeah.
But if you can shift that character, switch up some of the stories that you keep telling yourself every day, create the character background that supports you living the life you want.
Yeah.
Why is acting not one of the most brilliant ways to now create the life you so desire to begin with?
Yeah, no, exactly. You have a negative wolf and a positive wolf. Which one survives? The one you feed more. And that's just the way it goes.
But the awareness, like Chris was saying, if that awareness doesn't keep staying in there, if I'm not paying attention while I'm brushing my teeth and my mind's going through, I got to go to work today, goddamn Nomex, whatever the thing is you're doing, versus, hold on, I have a moment here that I could prep a better day in my head.
Yeah. And that's the thing too,
my overall goal is to help people find tools and processes that can increase your health and wellness, all while building the life you desire. You all know how important ingredients are to me, and that's why I want to share Organifi with you. I use a lot of their tools, and here's why. All of their products are USDA organic, certified gluten-free, glyphosate residue-free, non-GMO verified, and supported by Vitamin Angels. Everything is sourced from ethical farms and delivered in sustainable packaging. You can go to OrganifiShop.com and use code WEST20 for a whopping 20% off. Now back to the show.
Just the fact that you can become aware of what's happening. Wait a minute. I see I'm spinning out of control here. I'm going to go down this. Now stop, and you make a mental stop, and then you refocus what allowing your thoughts to go to. But most people aren't even aware, and can say, don't even know they can stop it. Or have that control.
And so what both of you guys are saying is that you can control. You can play God, if you want to use that word again. We just need to know what the tools are and how to use them. But at the same time, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're out of control. We can't control this. Everything happens to us. It happens to us. It happens to us. But does it happen to us? Or is it the law of attraction and we are making this happen? Or we're thinking that it's happening to us and it's really not.
You did it to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a friend he's like, you did it to yourself. He's like, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it. You did it to yourself.
To an extent. I mean,
the choices we make, right? It puts us where we are. It all adds up, and all those choices you made led you here. So you did do it to yourself.
Metaphysics has literally gone to the point of showing if there are scientists watching when you're trying to shoot something, a molecule, to become a waveform versus, a solid piece of matter. When you're watching that on like the most, minuscule level, if you're not watching it, it stays a waveform and infinite possibilities. But as soon as the scientists put their little camera in there to watch it, what would happen? All of a sudden it went back to a particle that's hitting in a specific way that should be logical. But life's not really logical. That's when we talk about that inner world, outer world thing, where, the most minuscule little cell in your body grows in the exact same way that your body would grow. The Fibonacci sequence that goes, that mathematics throughout the world. It's there. It's really just watching science come from this side, where religion's coming from this side. And they used to be these like far ending reaches. And now they're just slowly starting to go, oh, we got proof for these things. So no, do you have full control over your world? Absolutely not, because we are all these individual particles of God getting to play amongst each other. But do you have control of yours, of your specific world? Yeah. You absolutely do.
Think about this. Like, how did the three of us, like, who started the same place, and we're all here now, like how many times do you see that the three of us started in an acting studio together? We've gone our separate ways, but we found ourselves back here doing the same things. Like, there's got to be something to that. Why are we the way we are? Right? How did we find ourselves here? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's the law of attraction. It's the law of attraction, and that's just the way it goes. You could either be conscious of it or unconscious of it, but it's still going to happen no matter what.
Right.
We are going to get what we attract. And is it me, Nev, or did Dean West just recently read a book?
He definitely read.
I've read once or twice. I read sometimes.
How does this motherfucker get so smart?
I know.
That's because nobody let me talk back in the day. Oh, Dean's just a pretty face.
I think you were too pretty. They were like, there's no way this kid knows anything.
What was always funny to me is like Aaron would always kind of give you stuff that he thought you need to work a little further on. So like he'd give me something that's like super drama. We'd do it. And afterwards I'd come back and be like, all right, so, what are you thinking for maybe next week? He's like, you know what? I think you understand drama pretty well. Why don't you work on some comedy? Like, all right, cool. I'd dive into some comedy. I'd knock out a comedy. Be like, all right, pretty good at comedy. Why don't you go do some drama? You think maybe you need some work over there?
Yeah.
But you just send me that direction? But you know what? Oh, I remember like one of the first characters he gave me, and I don't know if it was just coming from the South, but it was the most flamboyant man you could find. And I was like, all right. But again, like I said, you open up these different doors to allow this perspective on life that starts leveling up that empathy, because now you have to, you don't look at people and judge them. You look at them and go, 100%. How?
Yep.
Yeah.
How? Why?
Yep.
What's the thing that's pushing them? Why they
and
love
there's
it so much?
There's always an answer to why. And when I break out the why shovel, I keep it as simple as possible. Where it's like, okay, what's your objective in the scene? All right. Well, I want them to know that I love them. Okay. First of all, what you're describing is more of an action than a need or a want. So, okay, good. So instead of saying, no, you're wrong, that's not that, and it's too structured, which I try my best to stay away from. I just say, okay, good. Why? Why do you need that? And they say, well, it's because of this. Yes, you're right again. Why? But, and then before you know it, they know exactly what they need. And a lot of times it has nothing to, not nothing to do, but what they're doing in the scene is just a byproduct of what they really need. And that's life too. It's the same thing in life. Like right now, the three of us, we have like a micro objective, like this moment's objective. But what do we really need? Like you know what I mean? The reconnection of friends, or the having a conversation about a craft that we love, or reminiscing about where we come from and how far we've been. You know what I mean? It's like that's our real need. Or otherwise, we wouldn't. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. It was you got me up at 9 a.m. Like, you know what I mean? And if I didn't have a clear objective that was important to me, I wouldn't have done this. I just wouldn't have done this.
Like you said, digging with your why shovel, you're always getting down to the most primal needs. And like you're saying, all those little things they think they need are just superficial. And until you get really to what all of those fluffy things that you're talking about, get down to this is why, really.
Exactly.
You know,
the core.
And that's why the three of us are still here. We're still here. We needed
that's what
something.
I'm saying. Exactly.
There was something we needed that we couldn't let go of the business completely.
Validation.
Right? So exactly. Like I cannot quit. I cannot get out of here.
Anthony and Chris are still going. I've got to keep going until one of them quit, because I am not going to be the first to give up.
Get off this treadmill.
Well, you know, and it's funny to say that, because at the end of the day, the word ego gets a bad rap. You know, you're coming from your ego. This is just an ego thing. It's an ego stroke. It's a bruised ego. It just gets a bad rap. At the end of the day, we really need to embrace that we all have it. It's not going away. We're human beings. And if you take ego out of the equation when you're building a character, it's a big mistake. It's a huge part of humanity. Things like, I need validation, I need respect. And these are real needs. Your character will more than likely need something like that at its core. Right. And you could say all you want. Well, I'm so liberated and I'm so spiritual that I don't have an ego anymore. It's bullshit. It's not true.
Right. Yeah, and it will keep someone in something longer than they typically would. You know, otherwise. Right. Yeah. I think, Anthony, you and I have talked about this too. It's like, why couldn't I just get like a normal job and come home at the end of the day and just like sit on the couch and be okay with the job I'm done. My job is done. No, I get back, and I'm constantly trying to, get things going. What can I do? I got to make this movie. I need money. I need a script. I need these actors. I need all these things. I never stop. Why?
Never stop.
I play with the idea of like being okay with it, and then I'm like, and then I just keep going.
Not okay. You know why, Nev? You know why, Nev? We can't fool ourselves. We can't. Like, we think we can manipulate that and fool ourselves, but that's at our core, and that's just it. So if we start why shoveling ourselves to death, we'll come up with the exact answer. The problem with why shoveling yourself is it gets scary when you do it to yourself. Like Dean said. Right. When you learn how to build a character by building yourself, that's scary, man, because you're like, wow, that's what I need.
Yeah,
that's what I fucking. So, I just need my father to say I'm proud of me. Right. That's all I need. That's it. That's fucking it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can quit this career now.
I can just just say you're proud of me, and I can walk away. I can sleep at night.
I've been doing this my whole life.
Yeah, it's like, you guys. I can't believe it's that simple. What the fuck?
Have you guys ever read anything from Eric Morris?
No.
Is he related to Morris from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Is that
What? There's a Morris? Oh. Like his first name?
No, never mind. No, we haven't read shit. We don't fucking read.
You're the reader around here. We're just a couple guys from Massachusetts. Guys from Massachusetts don't read.
They don't have books. We use books like to climb things. I'm
going to have to put subtitles on this thing.
What to hit someone with,
a book is a weapon, man.
Door stops. Mm-hmm. I hate it that everything's on digital now. I can't keep my doors open.
Yes, Wes, we're not stupid. We know Morris. Yes, okay?
Chris. Do you know who Eric Morris is?
No, I have no idea what they're
about. I think Anthony's full of shit, probably too. So there's...
I'll
pull the book out.
You want to forget the book?
Nah,
I'm using it to hold my door open. You want me to get?
No, because then you're going to lose your light.
You see what he did?
We need a third. So one of the things I stole from Eric was this I need, I want, I feel exercise that I'll do in class. And it's if you guys are listening to every time we keep talking about something else, we go to, okay, what is the why going to? Why do I need it? Why do I feel this way? Or why do I want this, right? The want and the need. So Eric Morse will do this. I need, I want, I feel. And I'll do it either digital or in class. I like the class version because your hyper awareness starts kicking up because you're saying stuff that's a vulnerable exercise, right? Yeah. And I don't do this as your first exercise. I wait till you've been in class a bit. You're somewhat comfortable because it's that next push for yourself. I need, I want, I feel is literally that. You'll run through your mind just spitting it out loud. I need, I want, I feel. I need, I want, I feel. And then you just start throwing whatever pops in your brain afterwards. And also, we're trying to, loosen up or poke a few holes in the filter that usually stops you from being free in the scene to begin with. So I need another coffee. I feel like I've got a lot of energy right now. I want gummy bears, though I know I don't need those. I want a steak too. I feel very confident right here in this general area. So it's literally just whatever keeps coming up. And I'll say, when you're doing this in class, there's going to be a point that you're about to go, I really want that one. That right there. You don't have to say it, but write that fucker down.
And there's
that's the one.
Yep.
And that's the one that's stopping you right now. That's the one that you are putting the block, right? We all talk about us trying to get to a bigger level. It's us. We're stopping. There's no casting director at the door. There's no director telling you no. It's not because you're fat or you're tall or you're skinny or you're short. You are doing something.
You have external obstacles and you have internal obstacles. People think that the external obstacles are the most difficult ones, but they're really not. You can see them. It's the internal obstacles that stop us from doing anything. And it's usually fear-based. It's always fear-based.
It's all mind structure.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the cool part that what we do is like we can find those things. So when you do something like that, and people, if you guys are listening, you can do this at home. Just set your camera up and do it to yourself.
Is there an audience? People going to listen to this?
All three of them will probably try this exercise.
Yeah.
Nice.
All three of those people. Thanks. How big that two students Anthony has and that one guy Chris has, he's still coaching.
A guy from Australia. So how big of an audience do you have, West? Because I like this. This is cool, man.
Hey, I'm not trying to put it out on the table right now. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, it's good.
No, this is
awesome.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I would actually like to do this again.
I would watch this show.
I appreciate that. If you guys had, you'd know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know. Man, okay, just for the record.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who contacted who, Mr. West? A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I liked one of your Instagram photos a while back, and you were like,
why are you creating your own reality right now? I fucking texted you saying, how are you?
Always.
How are you doing?
With a list of I need, I want.
No, I feel.
No, you did. You reached out.
I feel guilty for not talking to you for 20 years, and I need to reach out. But to be honest,
what do you need, Anthony? Forgiveness? You need forgiveness?
It's always validation. I just need you to say I'm proud of you.
Redemption?
You're proud of me. Just say you're proud of me and I can walk away.
You've built a wonderful studio, Anthony, and you have helped so many people.
And you're proud
of beautiful. I love you.
It's not your fault.
You got to say
it's not your fault.
So you have an exercise for this week. In the mirror in the morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono. I need, I want, I feel after that. Ho'oponopono, do you know that one, right?
Hope what?
Of course he does. He reads all kinds of books. He's a
What did he say? What did you say?
Ho'oponopono.
Hoboken? What? I've been. It's in Jersey. That's in New Jersey. Right?
It's a Hawaiian prayer. Ho'oponopono.
I'm listening. All right.
Thank you. I love you. Forgive me. I'm sorry. It's also the main 5 things you hear on a deathbed.
Are you trying to get him to cry right now? This is crazy.
It's not going to work.
Why don't you get let's play a little drummer boy.
It's not going to work.
I'm not crying.
It's not going to work.
Did you not get something you wanted for Christmas? Why is it little drummer boy?
Christmas.
Hey everyone, if you haven't noticed, we had a really good time recording this episode and get to hang out. So we ended up going for 2 hours. So what I'm going to do is this was the first half of the 1 hour conversation. And next week, consecutively, you will get the follow-up for the second hour of our in-depth, ridiculous conversation. Thanks everyone. Like, follow, and share. If you are enjoying the conversation and would like to learn more about our acting and spiritual connection, go to thedeanwest.com, and there is a course that dives a little more into the understanding of our universal connection. It then goes into a beginner acting course that is great for actors and any human that wants to learn a new way of approaching their manifestation journey. My first book, The Actor's Gift to Manifestation, is live on Amazon, and there will be a digital version on my website. And stay tuned, as The Actor Alchemist will be coming out very soon, followed by The Actor's Reconstruction of Beliefs and Empowering Perspectives.
One more cold drink, one more roll, one more dance for the doors get closed. Please remember, enjoy the show. Let's get happy.